I'm Lana, and tonight, I stepped into a world I didn't recognize. A shadowy corner of my own heart where secrets simmer beneath the surface. My husband David and I, after 12 years of a steady, predictable marriage, ventured out to a mysterious restaurant on the edge of town, a place dripping with whispered allure and hidden promises. Under the amber glow of dimly lit lamps, I felt the weight of unfamiliar eyes on me, stirring something reckless, something forbidden, deep within. But as the night unfolded, a single moment in a cramped, flickering hallway changed everything, leaving me trembling with a mix of guilt and thrill. And when I saw David watching, his expression unreadable in the half-dark, my world tilted on its axis. What does he know, and what does he want next? Picture this: a quiet hum of life buzzing beneath the surface, like the faint vibration of a train you can't quite see but know is coming. That's my world, steady and unassuming, rolling along tracks I've laid down over years of careful choices. I'm Lana, 38, a woman who's carved out a life of predictability in the leafy sprawl of a suburban neighborhood just outside Chicago. My days are a rhythm of familiar beats: work, errands, the soft clink of dishes in the sink. And at the center of it all is David, my husband of 12 years. He's 42, a man of few words but endless depth, with a mind as sharp as the edge of a blade. As a financial consultant, he spends his days untangling numbers, while I often find myself untangling the silence between us. Not that it's bad, mind you. Our marriage is a sturdy house, well-built, comfortable, maybe a little worn at the edges after over a decade. We care for each other, deeply, even if the spark sometimes feels more like a warm ember than a roaring flame. Tonight, though, there's a shift in the air, a small ripple in our usual routine. David came home earlier, his tie already loosened, and with a rare glint in his eye, suggested we go out for dinner. Not just anywhere, but a place called the Ember Room, a restaurant tucked away on the edge of town. I've heard whispers about it, how it's more than just a place to eat, how its dimly lit corners and hushed tones wrap you in a kind of intimate secrecy. People say the staff there, especially the waiters, have a way of making you feel seen, almost too seen, in a way that lingers long after you've left. I brush the thought aside as I agree to go, craving a break from our usual evenings of home-cooked meals and quiet TV marathons. A night out, simple as it sounds, feels like a small adventure, a chance to step outside the lines of our everyday. I'm standing in front of the mirror now, slipping into a deep blue dress that hugs my frame just right, the fabric cool against my skin. I catch my reflection as I smooth it down, noticing the way it accentuates every curve, a silent reminder of a fire that still simmers beneath the surface. I dab on a touch of lipstick, a bold crimson that feels like a statement I'm not sure I'm ready to make. David's in the doorway, watching me with that quiet intensity of his gaze lingering just a moment longer than usual. There's an appreciation there, unspoken but felt, a flicker of something that makes my pulse quicken as I turn to meet his eyes. "You look beautiful," he says, his voice low, and I can't help but smile, feeling a warmth spread through me at the rare compliment. We head out the door, his hand brushing mine as we step into the cool evening air, the promise of something different hanging between us like a whisper I can't quite hear. As we pull up to the Ember Room, the building looms ahead, a discreet brick facade with a single amber light flickering above the entrance, like a beacon drawing us in. I step out of the car, the heels of my shoes clicking softly against the pavement, and feel a shiver that's not entirely from the evening chill. David takes my arm, guiding me through the heavy wooden door, and the world shifts as we cross the threshold. Inside, the Ember Room is a cocoon of shadows and warmth, a place that feels like it's holding secrets in every corner. The walls are dark mahogany, polished to a deep, rich sheen that seems to absorb the light rather than reflect it. Amber lamps hang low over each table, casting a soft golden glow that dances across the surfaces, creating pools of light and shadow that play tricks on the eye. The armchairs are plush, upholstered in deep burgundy velvet, so inviting that they seem to swallow you whole as you sink into them. A faint hum of jazz drifts through the air, the kind of music that feels like it's weaving through your thoughts, slow and sultry, tugging at something deep inside. The atmosphere is heavy, almost tangible, like a velvet curtain brushing against your skin, and I can't shake the feeling that every detail here is deliberate, designed to pull you in and hold you close. David and I settle into our seats, and I notice how he seems different tonight, more at ease than I've seen him in a long time. His shoulders loosen as he picks up the menu, his fingers tracing the edges of the leather-bound pages with a casual air. Usually, there's a tension in him, a quiet weight from the day's work, but here, in this dim sanctuary, he looks almost unburdened. I try to mirror his calm, but there's a strange anticipation buzzing under my skin, an unplaceable feeling that something is about to shift. I can't name it, but it's there, like static in the air before a storm. Our waiter approaches, and I catch my breath as I take him in. His name tag reads Ethan, and he's a young man, mid-20s maybe, with sharp, angular features that could cut glass. His dark hair is tousled just enough to look effortless, and there's a bold confidence in the way he carries himself, teetering on the edge of arrogance. He moves with a kind of grace that feels almost predatory, and as he reaches our table, a sly smile curls at the corner of his mouth. His eyes, a piercing shade of hazel, linger on me a little too long, and I feel a heat creeping up my neck under his gaze. He pours our wine, a rich Cabernet that glints like spilled blood in the low light, and I can't help but notice the deliberate slowness of his movements, the way his fingers brush the stem of the glass just so. His voice, when he speaks, is smooth as silk, carrying a subtle undercurrent that sends a shiver down my spine. I try to focus on the menu, on the words swimming in front of me, but I'm hyper-aware of Ethan as he describes the specials with that velvet tone, each syllable seeming to hang in the air just for me. Dinner begins, and the food is nothing short of perfection. David's steak is seared to a flawless medium rare, the juices glistening under the amber light as he cuts into it with precision. My salmon is delicate, melting on my tongue with a buttery richness that feels almost decadent. Every bite is a small escape, a moment of indulgence, but it's punctuated by Ethan's returns to our table. He refills our glasses with that same deliberate care, his presence lingering a little longer each time. I notice the way his hand hovers near mine as he clears an empty plate, his fingers so close I can almost feel the warmth of them. Then, there's a moment that stops my breath. A subtle brush of his hand against my knee beneath the tablecloth as he adjusts a fallen napkin. It's fleeting, barely there, but it sends a jolt through me, electric and undeniable. My fork pauses mid-air, and I glance up, startled, my heart thudding in my chest. Across the table, David is watching, his eyes fixed on the space between Ethan and me. His face is unreadable, a mask of calm as he sips his wine, slow and deliberate, the glass catching the light in a crimson shimmer. I can't tell if he saw, if he felt the shift in the air, or if my mind is playing tricks on me. My thoughts race, a tangled mess of confusion and heat, and I force myself to look down, to focus on the last bite of salmon, though it tastes like nothing now. We finish with coffee, the bitter warmth grounding me just enough to steady my hands. But I need a moment to breathe, to escape the weight of the room. I murmur an excuse to David, something about freshening up, and make my way toward the restroom. The hallway leading there is narrow, the walls closing in with dark paneling that seems to swallow the dim light. Above the door, a single bulb flickers, casting uneven shadows that dance across the floor. I push open the door and step into the cramped space, the air tinged with the faint scent of lavender cleaner. The mirror above the sink is chipped at the edges, reflecting a fractured version of myself as I turn on the faucet, letting the cold water run over my hands. I'm trying to cool the flush on my cheeks, to slow the frantic beat of my heart, when the door creaks behind me. I freeze, my breath catching as I see Ethan in the reflection, stepping into the tiny room without a word. The silence between us is heavy, charged with something I can't name but can't ignore. He moves closer, his presence filling the space, and I feel the brush of his hand against my waist, light but intentional. His breath is warm near my neck, sending a shiver through me that I can't suppress. I should step away, should say something, but I don't. Instead, I stand there, caught in the pull of the moment, as it spirals into something forbidden, something reckless. We cross a line in that dim, confined space, a rush of heat and urgency that I can't pull back from. It's a collision of guilt and thrill, my own uneven breathing loud in my ears, my mind screaming at me even as my body betrays every rational thought. And then, through a sliver of space where the door isn't fully closed, I see him. David. He's standing in the hallway, just beyond the flickering light, his silhouette still and unyielding. He's watching us, his face a shadowed enigma. Not anger, not shock, but something else, something I can't decipher in the half-dark. My heart stops, a cold wave of dread crashing over the heat still coursing through me. He doesn't move, doesn't turn away, doesn't make a sound. I'm frozen, torn between the weight of shame and a confusing, unexpected rush as I realize he's not stopping this, not intervening. My mind is a storm as I pull myself together in that cramped restroom, the weight of what just transpired pressing down on me like a physical force. I can still feel the heat of Ethan's presence, the way the air seemed to thicken with every unspoken word, every forbidden touch that danced on the edge of something I can't take back. My hands grip the edge of the sink, knuckles whitening as I force myself to breathe, to steady the chaos inside me. I glance up at the chipped mirror, and the woman staring back at me looks like a stranger, cheeks flushed a deep, betraying pink, lipstick smudged at the corner of my mouth, a telltale sign of a moment that spiraled out of control. My eyes are wide, almost wild, reflecting a mix of guilt and something else, something I don't want to name. I run a trembling finger under my lip, trying to erase the evidence, but it's no use. The truth is written all over me, and I know it. I push away from the sink, my legs shaky beneath me, feeling like they might give out as I reach for the door. The creak of the hinge sounds louder than it should, echoing in the tiny space as I step back into the narrow hallway. The flickering bulb overhead casts jagged shadows across the dark paneling, making the walls feel like they're closing in tighter than before. Each step I take feels heavier, the worn floorboards groaning under my weight, a sound that seems to match the thudding of my heart. My hands fumble with the fabric of my dress, smoothing it down over and over, as if that small act could somehow smooth over everything else. But my fingers won't stop trembling, and I can't shake the sensation of being watched, even though the hallway is empty now. David's silhouette, that unreadable shadow I saw through the cracked door, haunts every corner of my vision, even as I try to push it away. The distant clink of glasses and muffled murmurs from the dining area filter down the corridor, a reminder of the world waiting just beyond this suffocating passage. It feels like miles, this endless stretch of hallway, though it's only a few steps. My pulse is a relentless drum in my ears, drowning out the soft jazz that still hums through the air. What will David say? What will he do? My mind races with possibilities, each one more terrifying than the last. Will there be anger in his eyes? A cold accusation that cuts deeper than any words? Or worse, will there be nothing at all? Just that same unreadable calm that makes me feel like I'm drowning in uncertainty? I don't know what I'm more afraid of, his judgment or his silence. As I near the end of the hallway, the amber glow of the Ember Room's dining area comes into view, pulling me back into its cocoon of secrets and shadows. My breath catches as I spot our table, and there he is, David, sitting exactly as I left him, as if no time has passed at all. His posture is relaxed, one hand resting loosely around the stem of his wineglass, the deep crimson liquid catching the low light in a hypnotic shimmer. A faint smile plays on his lips, so subtle I might have missed it if I weren't looking so hard, searching for any crack in his composure. He looks up as I approach, his eyes locking onto mine, and there's something in them I can't place, a glint, a knowing, that sends a fresh wave of dread curling through my chest. I feel exposed, as if he can see every thought, every moment of weakness that unfolded in that restroom, as if he's been inside my head all along. I slide into my seat across from him, the plush velvet of the chair swallowing me up, but it offers no comfort. My hands fold in my lap, fingers twisting together to hide the way they still shake. I expect something, anything, a sharp word, a pointed look, a sign of the storm I'm sure is brewing beneath his surface. But instead, David leans in close, his movements slow and deliberate, the space between us shrinking until I can feel the warmth of his breath. His voice drops to a low whisper, a sound so intimate it cuts through the haze of my thoughts like a blade through silk. "Want to invite him home?" David murmurs, his voice barely above a breath, each word dripping with a weight I can't ignore. I'd watch again. My breath catches in my throat, a sharp, involuntary gasp that I can't suppress. The words hang between us, heavy and loaded, like a stone dropped into still water, sending ripples through every corner of my mind. I blink, my vision blurring for a moment as I try to process what he's just said. Invite him home? Watch again? The implication slams into me, a tidal wave of shock that leaves me reeling, my heart pounding so hard I'm sure he can hear it across the table. My mouth opens, but no sound comes out. I'm frozen, caught in a storm of disbelief, my thoughts scrambling to make sense of the suggestion, to find some hidden meaning I must have misunderstood. But there's no mistaking it. His words are clear, deliberate, and they pierce straight through the fragile shield I've been trying to hold up since I walked back to this table. I meet his gaze, and it's like staring into a depth I've never seen before. His eyes hold mine, steady and unflinching, not a trace of anger or betrayal in them. Instead, there's a glint, something dark, curious, almost hungry. It's not jealousy I see, not the reaction I braced myself for, but a kind of invitation, a challenge wrapped in that quiet intensity of his. My stomach twists, a knot of nerves and something else, something I don't want to name. I feel the heat creeping up my neck again, a flush I can't control, as if my body is betraying me all over again, responding to the undercurrent of his words in a way my mind refuses to accept. Part of me is horrified, recoiling at the very thought of what he's proposing. This isn't us. This isn't the life we've built, the sturdy house of our marriage with its predictable walls and familiar corners. But there's another part, buried deeper, hidden beneath layers of guilt and propriety, that stirs at the idea. A part of me that's intrigued, even excited, by the forbidden edge of it all. I hate that it's there, hate that I can feel it flickering to life, but I can't deny the way my pulse quickens, the way a shiver runs down my spine that isn't entirely from shock. The silence that follows is thick, almost suffocating, pressing down on us like a heavy fog. I don't know what to say, don't know how to respond to something so far outside the boundaries of everything I thought I knew about us. My eyes dart away from his, seeking something, anything to anchor me. They land on the bar across the room, where Ethan is wiping down glasses with that same deliberate slowness I noticed earlier. He's oblivious to this conversation, to the storm raging at our table, his movements casual under the dim amber light. But just seeing him there, so close yet so unaware, sends another jolt through me. My mind flashes back to those stolen moments in the restroom, the rush of crossing a line I never thought I'd approach. And the truth is, I don't regret it. Not fully. There was a thrill in being seen, in letting go, in feeling that raw electric pull. I thought David witnessing it would shatter everything, would douse that fire with shame. But his words, this whispered proposal, they don't extinguish it. If anything, they fan the flames, amplifying that forbidden excitement in a way I didn't expect, in a way that terrifies me even as it draws me in. My fingers tighten around the handle of my coffee cup, the porcelain cool against my overheated skin. I grip it like a lifeline, as if holding on to something solid can keep me from spiraling further into this uncharted territory. The room seems to shrink around us, the shadows cast by the low-hanging lamps growing darker, more oppressive. The faint hum of jazz still weaves through the air, but it feels distant now, drowned out by the roar of my own thoughts. David's faint smile never wavered. As the weight of David's words lingers in the air, I feel the ground beneath me shift, like I'm standing on the edge of something vast and unknown. My mind is still reeling, caught in a whirlwind of conflicting emotions, as we finally rise from our table at the Ember Room. The dim amber light seems to cling to us as we move, casting long shadows that stretch across the polished mahogany floors. I can barely focus on the act of walking, my legs still unsteady from the intensity of the night, as David places his hand lightly on my back. It's a familiar gesture, one that's guided me through countless moments over the years. But tonight it feels different, loaded with unspoken questions, a quiet reassurance that nothing has changed, even though everything has. His touch is warm through the fabric of my dress, grounding me just enough to keep moving forward, though my thoughts are a tangled mess, darting between what was said and what remains unsaid. We step through the heavy wooden door and out into the night, the cool air hitting my skin like a sharp, sudden wake-up call. It's a stark contrast to the suffocating warmth of the restaurant, and I draw in a deep breath, letting the chill seep into me, hoping it might clear the fog in my head. The amber light above the entrance flickers behind us, a faint goodbye as the door swings shut with a heavy thud. I glance back for just a moment, catching a glimpse through the narrow window of Ethan still behind the bar. He's wiping down a glass, his movements slow and deliberate as ever, but his eyes lift to meet mine across the distance. There's a knowing smirk on his face, a subtle nod of his head, as if he understands something I'm still grappling with. My chest tightens at the sight, a mix of lingering heat and unease, and I quickly turn away, focusing on the pavement beneath my feet as we walk to the car. David unlocks the door with a soft click, and I slide into the passenger seat, the leather cool against my overheated skin. He joins me without a word, starting the engine with a low hum that fills the silence between us. The car pulls away from the Ember Room, the brick facade shrinking in the rearview mirror until it's just a memory. But the weight of the night stays with me, heavy and unshakable. I stare out the window, watching the streetlights blur into streaks of gold against the dark, my reflection faint in the glass, a woman I'm not sure I recognize anymore. My mind replays every moment of the evening in vivid detail, the charged glances, the forbidden rush in that cramped restroom, the way David's silhouette loomed in the hallway, watching without a word. And then, his whisper at the table, those words that turned everything I thought I knew about us upside down. I can still hear the low timbre of his voice, feel the way it sent a shiver through me, stirring something I'm not ready to face. The drive home is quiet, almost oppressively so, the hum of the engine the only sound as we glide through the empty streets. David doesn't speak, and neither do I. There's no need for words right now. The air between us is already thick with unspoken thoughts, a tension that feels like it could snap at any moment. I steal a glance at him, his profile illuminated by the passing lights, his hands steady on the wheel. There's a calmness to him, a stillness that unnerves me more than any outburst could. What is he thinking? Does he feel the same storm raging inside him that I do? Or is this just another calculated move in a game I didn't even know we were playing? I turn back to the window, my fingers tracing idle patterns on the edge of my seat, searching for something to anchor me as my thoughts spiral. This evening shattered the routine of our marriage in a way I never saw coming. It's like someone took a hammer to the sturdy walls we've built over 12 years, exposing cracks I didn't know were there. Cracks that reveal desires and boundaries I hadn't dared to acknowledge in myself, let alone in David. I always thought I knew us, knew the shape of our life together, the quiet comfort. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.